Hi guys, JT here, and today I'll be bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Warhammer Vermintide Bundle of October 2022. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? If you want to know more about game deals, then feel free to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps the channel out. So let's get into this. And number 1 we have Warhammer End Times Vermintide and its DLCs. A co-op melee first-person shooter set in the Warhammer universe. This game borrows a lot from Valve's Left 4 Dead series, except that they have brought you away from city streets, swamps, and carnivals to a medieval setting with some fantastical views like a twisted mage tower. And instead of killing hordes of zombies, you will be killing hordes of rats that can stand upright, called the Skaven. The end times are here, and an angry population of rats have risen up to take over the realm of men. You play as one of the warriors in your mismatched group who ventures out into the city's rundown streets to save the world from a ratpocalypse. Vermintide is pretty much Left 4 Dead with a Warhammer skin on top. Characters shout out when they find ammo, shout out when there are Skavens nearby, and shout out for help when they're being mercilessly destroyed by a swarm of rats. Some missions also require you to gather barrels of fuel and deposit them into getaway vehicles, which are also available in Left 4 Dead. Even though it feels like a reskin, it is still a great co-op adventure with more focus on melee combat, gear upgrades, and a fantasy setting with some interesting characters. You can choose from 5 different characters to battle the Skaven, each with their own strengths, equipment, and playstyles. Between missions, players choose gear sets that change how the characters play. Weapon classes have different characteristics, and individual weapons have special abilities and damage boosts. As an example, getting a sword and shield combo lets you become the party's tank, while getting a powerful warhammer lets you smash rats to a pulp. Weapons are locked to individual characters though, so if you obtain a rare weapon on one character, your other characters can't use it. Unlike Left 4 Dead, the warriors of Vermintide have their own expertise and unique looks, like the elf Waywatcher is an expert at saving allies and archery, dwarves can shove the Skaven with the shield, which is basically a crowd control technique, and the mage could overheat from her pyrotechnic magic with a chance of detonating, taking out a crowd of rats in the process. It is dangerous to be out alone, so you are forced to work with your team to fight off the Skaven, as it is very easy to be surrounded and overwhelmed by them, and only a teammate can revive you. Every character has a ranged weapon, but due to limited ammo stock, you will most likely be using your melee weapons most of the time. Your melee moves are simple to execute with an attack, a charged special attack, block, and shove. It may sound simple, but given how chaotic fighting the horde of Skaven could be, you would be thankful that it is that simple. The level design are around medieval fantasy. You have the usual sewers, of course, and the marketplace. But you also have some really interesting fantasy designs like the Mage Tower with its twisted staircases and upside down ceilings to traverse through, which really gives the game a character of its own. Most of the enemies in this game could feel like a reskin of the different zombies and tanks of Left 4 Dead, bar some special Skaven like the Rattling Gun or Storm Vermin, which really shows off the Warhammer lore. This game is really fun when you play with friends as you kill ratlings and run away from danger together. There's a satisfaction when you work together with friends to take out the ratlings. This game fleshes out some very cinematic moments and sometimes makes you feel like you're in Lord of the Rings, fighting off a horde of orcs. In addition to the base game, you get all the DLCs available for Vermintide 1 in this bundle, giving you more skins and more campaign maps to play through. And number 2 we have Warhammer Vermintide 2 and its DLCs. Vermintide 2 is a sequel to Vermintide 1 with more rattling horde-killing action, more class variants, and more enemy variety. Vermintide 2 once again focuses on the threat of the Skaven, a species of cruel rattling living in a subterranean world beneath human kingdoms. This time around they have created the Skittergate, a warpstone-powered portal that leads to the realms of chaos. Through this portal comes the bloodthirsty Norskins, who together with the Skavens make up the game's many enemy hordes. Like Vermintide 1, you will have to deal with huge hordes of Skaven and Chaos Warriors, scampering over architecture and pouring through doors to surround you and your team to beat your heads in. You have to be aware of your surroundings as you fight these hordes to ensure you don't get surrounded and to pinpoint your other teammates' locations. To fight these hordes, you'll have access to warhammers, axes, swords, maces, flails, and halberds, which is a departure from Left 4 Dead's long-range fights with guns. You can still do long-range battles with your bow and arrow elf, but it is more about thinning numbers out while the horde runs to you before whipping your swords out and slashing their heads off. In some cases, ranged weapons are useful when dealing with bosses in this game. Your 5 heroes aren't tied down to their classes, as this game introduces different specializations, called careers, that can change up how each class plays in a significant way. Each hero has access to between 3 to 4 careers, which can change the way they play, their look, and the abilities that they have. As an example, Victor, the witch hunter who initially feels like a nimble, light-armored assassin who can backstab single targets, can eventually take on the career of a gun-toting bounty hunter, or a heavily armored, hammer-wielding warrior priest. This essentially gives you 19 different characters to play as, even though you only have 5 heroes in the roster. The levels will see you going from an underground asylum into a sewer, then a catacomb, with some outdoor levels that offer more spectacular views, in addition to the Chaos Waste areas that uses the purple, pink, and red color scheme, which really changes from the ever-grey areas. There's also a ton of loot to collect in this game, with treasure chests that you can open at the end of each level. If you want better loot, you have to sacrifice a health potion slot, or 30% of your maximum health to carry tomes and grimoires. With these tomes and grimoires on hand, the treasure chests that you get at the end of the game will contain better loot than without them, so there's a risk and reward factor in play. You'll be able to unlock various weapons, trinkets, jewelry, and charms. The biggest change to Vermintide 2 is the free Chaos Wastes expansion, which is sort of a roguelite game mode. This game mode really provides a new way of playing the game with randomized levels. You start up with nothing but basic equipment, and as you progress you'll collect coins that you can hand in at altars to enhance your weapons or add new abilities and passives to your hero. It is a self-contained part of the game, and it is perfect for newbies who haven't been spending their entire lives playing Vermintide 2 collecting the most powerful gear, to be able to just jump in and play a game with some folks online. Vermintide 2 is definitely a huge upgrade from the first game. If you like the idea of slashing at humanoid rats with medieval weapons with a bunch of friends like the good old days of Left 4 Dead, then definitely play this game. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is great if you want to experience some epic medieval fantasy co-op, fighting against hordes of humanoid rats with friends and people online. With the amount of content that you get in this bundle with the base games and DLCs, this bundle is definitely worth it and I highly recommend it. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.